Good day, swimmers and non-swimmers alike. You might notice I've got a big robe on and a hat that says Happy Wild Swimming. I went swimming in the sea earlier, trying my new wetsuit out. It's a bit tight as I probably put a few pounds on. But after that I've just been for a walk with the dog down to the stone jetty and got a drink and come back to the car. The stone jetty is a place with a lot of history. I mean, it's been added to over the years in terms of length, and now it's popular with fishermen and people just walking along. But back in its day it was apparently a harbour where you get boats moored up and tied up, and I think you got boats going there for salvage, and then there was a railway on it, I think, where the trains could turn round. Quite a big change over the years, you know, gone from a harbour to now what it's just like part of the landscape, isn't it? A bit of an attraction, the stone jetty. As I say, I can see it from here now. It has been added to in terms of its length, but there's some pictures online if you look which shows it when it had boats there, and you know, some quite big boats. But I mean, the history of it, when you look at the side of it, just whereabouts the limit of it would be before it got elongated, there's some steps. If you're going down the jetty on the right hand side, I've climbed out on them once when I was swimming, but you think there are some pictures, I've seen at least one picture from history where people finishing the cross bay swims would have come across the bay, got in the channel, come down past towards Broadway and finished at the jetty. There would have been big crowds waiting for them. And when I'm on the jetty, when I was on the jetty today, I thought, you know, I'm here where it would have all happened, where the swimmers would have got out and there'd have been people waiting for them. I think one of the pictures shows the mayor of Morecambe at the time congratulating one of the swimmers who won. So, you know, the history's there. It is an old structure. And again, there's one story that I found out a while ago about a man from Keighley who swam down the River Loon from the quay in Lancaster all the way to Glastonbury, out at Sunderland Point, and all the way up the bay to the stone jetty in an event, 21-mile event. I think there were about 7 or 8 swimmers started, and he's the only man to finish, a guy called Kendall Miller, who I've mentioned in another video. But again, there's a picture of him taken, which I'm sure is on the stone jetty, you know, where he landed after his epic swim. It's probably one of the longest swims in the history of open water swimming around Morecambe Bay that you can do around here. I mean, a cross bay swim would probably be around 9-10 miles depending on the route you take, but you think about that, a 21-mile swim finishing at the jetty where there'd be crowds waiting for you and big celebrations. It's not like that anymore. You know, there's still a lot of us swimming now, maybe more now than there was back then, but I think the spectacle side of it's gone. You can't hold events the same. I mean, back then people were willing to pit themselves against the water and just take the chances with a little wooden support boat and little else. Now we've got all the equipment, all the know-how, but due to insurance and liability and risk, nobody's willing to take things on like that. So we've lost something. The ability to put big spectacles on like that, but I can only imagine it would have been an amazing sight to watch, you know, just standing on that jetty looking down on the bay and seeing a swimmer or swimmers appear on the horizon racing the way towards the jetty. I can remember one man who I've mentioned in the other video, Raymond Holmes, who won his cross bay swim against Gerald Forsberg. I'm sure he said that when he won he'd had a shave the day before, and his stubble or something must have rubbed on his chest as he was swimming, and when he got out he was bleeding a little bit, and he recalls that his mum was upset to see him with blood all over him, and it was only from being rubbed by his chin. But you know, what a spectacle it would have been just to stand there and watch swimmers come in, or to be a swimmer and look in the distance and see the stone jetty with everybody screaming for you. You know, back then I think swimming was a really big thing, not just for the people swimming, but people seemed to want to see it and be part of the crowd, you know. And all we seem to get now is people pointing at us saying we're crazy for doing it. But if only we could bring back that time, you know, when we put these, I'd gladly have a race across the bay or up and down the bay with other people. Whether I won or not is a different thing, but you know, it just goes to show what's changed over the years. But also, the Stone Jetty is a good place to go if you are an open water swimmer or you're even thinking about it, because when I went on the jetty before, it must have been an hour and a half after high tide, and you do get to see how fast the water runs out near that jetty. It really flies out near there. It's probably one of the most dangerous spots up and down the bay. And again, Raymond, who I just mentioned, who won his cross bay swim, I remember him telling me that as he came down the bay, just where I'm sat now, past, you know, the clock tower towards the jetty, he knew he was in the channel getting pushed towards the Stone Jetty, and he got himself on the left hand side of the channel, the side closest to the beach, and he was ready to just nip out of that channel and land at the side of the jetty. And he went on to tell me that some of the less experienced swimmers, or maybe people who weren't from round here, went on the far end of the channel, the far side of it, and when they came to try getting out of the jetty, obviously they were in the channel being pushed, and they got pushed past the jetty, which usually disqualified swimmers if they passed the Stone Jetty too far. So, you know, he had the knowledge to know when to get out, which is good. But yeah, I think one of the things I tend to do if I'm ever swimming anywhere sea-wise around here, I mean, it's important to see the sea and know what the tides are doing. But I think walking up and down the bay, past all the spots I swim at when the tide's out, and then you can see what the landscape's like under the water. What's there on the seabed? Is there anything to get snagged on, or are there deep grooves in the sand? We know there's a channel that runs down parallel to the shoreline here and out past the jetty that I've just mentioned. But I think the jetty's a very interesting place just to look at how fast it goes out there, how the channel goes past, what it does to the water. And that is one of the hot spots when we're swimming up and down the bay. I always tell people to be extremely careful swimming past it. Just knowing that channel's there and it's going to push you past. I mean, today when we were in the sea, I'm sat near the little bay near the clock tower now, and my friend was swimming from one green post to another with that channel pushing him. And I looked up at one point, and then I looked up again a minute later, and he was like a good couple of 100 meters down shore, you know, where the channel had been pushing him. So the water can move really quick round here. It's just a matter of knowing where it is and what it'll do to you. But again, as I've probably said in other videos, knowing all this history now, it does make me feel a lot more connected to the area and places I swim. Because when I'm swimming near the jetty, I can look and think, well, this is where all the swimmers of years gone by would have been finishing the swims and getting out. And everywhere I swim up and down here now, I'll know where certain things happened in history or where races started and finished. And it's just a good link to history. And like I said, it makes me feel part of it, that I'm doing the same things they did, just years later. So thanks for watching if you did. I'm going to try to, in time, go up and down the bay listing different swim spots and pointing out things. So